All right, hello, A&P people. Happy Friday. I hope your Friday is going well. Hope your first week has gone well. Up to this point, you should be ready. You should have access to your Pearson. You should have acquired access to the Labster. Again, I'm still kind of learning that system as well. Nothing has been formally assigned on Labster. Next week, I'll start making those formal assignments. And next week, we'll actually begin the lecture, the course, right? So this week is just introductions. I want to be sure that you can access everything, the Pearson, Labster. If there's an issue that you can communicate with me and I can communicate back with you. So that's basically the goal of this first week, introduction week. If it was in class, face-to-face, we would have gone over the syllabus, we would have introduced each other in class, and we really wouldn't have progressed into the content, the material, of the content of the course until next week. What I want to do now is just get in here. And we did the introductions. Let's see. Just wanted to kind of get the idea and break some of you out of the habit of the anatomy, of the memorization, right? So a lot of you did well last semester, and a lot of memorizers do well in 2401. I like all of anatomy physiology, but I'm not a big fan of teaching 2401. 2401 is a lot of memorization, and I don't really like memorization. I like more of the physiology, the process, how everything works, right? So if I were to ask you, to analyze this picture on the screen, what is that? I think most of you would tell me it's pi, right? It's 3.14, all these other numbers, yeah? So, but what does that mean? Just because you memorized the name, you memorize, maybe some of you memorize a bunch of these numbers, does that actually mean that you understand what pi is, what it's for, what is it involved with, right? So there's a big discrepancy between just memorizing a name and really understanding how or what that part does. So again, I'm not gonna go back and teach geometry class or Greek alphabet here, but again, there's more to know about pi than what we may think, right? So it's a constant ratio of circle circumference to its diameter. Oh, it's an irrational number. So basically, there's a lot more to it. I could memorize your names. You could memorize my name. You could memorize our peers' names. But does that mean that we know each other, right? Just because you know a name, I don't know what your favorite color is. I don't know your favorite food, what you're scared of, what, that kind of stuff. So it goes much deeper, much greater depth than just the anatomy, just the memorization of the names. So again, some of you are okay. Some of you already fell into that habit. We're going to have to break you out of the anatomy habit, the memorization habit, right? Don't get me wrong. I am going to present a lot of anatomy, but that's not going to be the primary focus of the exams, of the chapters. It's a lot more integration. It's a lot more physiology. How do things work? How do they link together? So just to give you the heads up for this semester, what to expect as we move onwards. So again, anatomy, physiology, not the human body, but if we look at a car, right? I bet all of you could memorize this. You're at the level of, maybe fourth semester in college and you're good at memorizing. I bet you could memorize all these parts. But just because you know, oh, this is the idle speed control valve. All right, cool. This is the carbon canister vacuum switch. Cool. Just because you memorize the parts, does that mean that you know what they do, how they contribute to the overall sort of operation of the vehicle? If the vehicle is broken down, do you think you could open up the hood and, oh yes, okay, I know how to fix it right here? Right? So it's a big difference. The moral of the story, it's a big difference between just knowing the names of the parts and how they all integrate and how they all function together. And that's our goal. When you leave out of here in December, when you have a whole semester of 2402 under your belt, that's the goal I hope that we've achieved, that you have acquired this knowledge and how 2401, 2402 integrate together to make a functional system, right? A functional body. So that's the goal. Just a little bit of not academic stuff, but just this semester is going to be busy. It's a lot of things you're going to be having to deal with: life, work, school, health, chaos, maybe kids at the house, all this mess. So it's going to be a matter of balancing your time, prioritizing, finding a time that you can shift into academic mode. So all of this is going to be important for you to succeed this semester. Right? Also, bringing in your previous knowledge is key. It's crucial. Right? There's a reason that you take 2401 first before you take 2402. There's a logic behind that, right? It's an important sequential kind of presentation of knowledge here. So this semester, I hope you brought a bunch of baggage with you. Right? It's never good to start a new relationship with baggage, but it's good to start a new class with baggage. I want you to bring all the baggage, all the knowledge that you have of 2401. So everything you learned, bring it in so we can then start to piece it together. And then as we present new 2402 concepts, we see how the 2401 concepts are supported and support the 2402 concepts, right? So everything is going to kind of start piecing together. And if we're deficient in one of these, it just makes it hard to understand the full picture, right? So knowledge integration will be critical, and I'll challenge you with that throughout the whole semester. Just to kind of give you like an idea, what am I talking about? Yeah. So I don't know if you ever saw that movie with Will Smith, Concussion, right? Talking about CTE, this condition, football players colliding, boxers getting hit all the time, that kind of, constant repetitive brain trauma. Well, I bet you could memorize what chronic traumatic encephalopathy is, right? CTE. Yeah, okay, but let's go beyond that. So how does getting hit in the head all the time, how does that now start to affect histology? What impact does it have on the nervous system? What impact does it have on the skeletal, on the muscular system, on the special senses, on the endocrine system? So all of these are major systems that you covered last semester in 2401. So you should be knowledgeable on those. Most instructors hit this really hard. Muscles, bones get hit pretty hard. Nervous system, students struggle sometimes with the action potentials, nervous impulse, all that stuff. One thing that frustrates me, it frustrates me, and I talk to my peers, guys, you got to hit the endocrine system harder, right? A lot of people push this to the end and they don't have enough time to cover endocrine. Endocrine is critical throughout the whole system. We don't function without hormones, and all sorts of hormones that make us who we are, maintain our homeostasis the way it should be maintained. So if you're deficient in any system, I bet it's going to be in the endocrine. And not everybody, some instructors really focus on that, but in general, most 2401 students come out deficient in the endocrine system. Now, don't forget, we also bring in genetics, biochemistry, physics, psychology, sociology, 1306 concepts, cellular biology. So all of this has to be integrated together. So again, we can know what all of these, symptoms are, right? All of the factors. And now what we're going to do this semester, we're going to take all this, and now how does this factor into the heart? What role do lungs now play? Are they affected? Do they have an effect? The kidneys. So how do all of the 24/1 systems now integrate with 24/2? So this is not just affecting 24/1. So if you're having a difficult time eating, the swallowing process, well, that's going to start to affect digestion and energy levels. If motor impairment, well, if we can't move properly, well, that has an impact on all body systems as well. So this is sort of the goal, trying to integrate all that you know from 24/1 into 24/2. So this is for you. I'm not going to ask you to formally complete it and turn it in for a grade. You got your grade last semester, right? And some of you got an A, all right? So high five, good job, quote unquote A students. Let's see what let's see what you bring with you, right? Just because you got an A, I don't know, maybe it was luck, or maybe you are actually an A student. You're gonna, bring all that knowledge and do well again this semester, right? So if you do have specific questions, I'd be happy, to email me, or I can lecture on some of this stuff if you need. But I am really, truly, of the mindset that you should have known all this. You should have learned all this last semester. So vocabulary, what is anatomy? What is physiology? Form fits function. How does that relate to all of the major systems you learned last semester? And we're going to then carry this idea of form fits function into these new topics in 24/2. What do we mean by a tissue, right? So what is tissue? And this semester, we're going to focus a lot on connective tissue, right? So connective tissue being a very important facet of all the major body systems we're going to cover this semester. This is a big one, right? The action potential. I like action potential because it's not something that you can just memorize in one little sentence, right? It's a lot of chemistry involved, a lot of movement, dynamic aspects. You learn action potentials of the nervous system. You learn action potentials of the muscular system. We deal with the heart. The heart is a muscle, so you're going to deal with a different type of action potential again this semester. So that's important. Different parts. So sympathetic, parasympathetic, autonomic nervous system. What do they do? The difference, when are they most active? And now let's carry it over into 24/2. What effect are they going to have on the heart, on the lungs, on the kidneys, on the stomach? So systems that we'll cover this semester, still supported by then the autonomic nervous system from last semester. Different muscle tissues. What's the difference? What similarities? We're going to deal with all those again, right? We're going to deal with the cardiac muscle for the heart, visceral muscle for for all the lining of the stomach, the intestines. So we'll deal with these tissues throughout this semester as well. Oh, there's our endocrine system. So hormones of last semester and their implication that we have into this semester. And we'll learn new hormones this semester as they apply to our 24/2 systems. Okay? So again, look those over. It's a very sort of insufficient list of things, but again, you have a whole semester, you have a whole notebook full of material. Go back, review that stuff, and again, bring it with you on Monday when we jump into our 24/2. We start our 24/2 discussion. So I'll leave you with this, just with a little bit of practice. So I call it Charcot foot because that's how it's spelled. It's a French term. So I don't know how they pronounce it in France, but we know that this condition is an anatomical condition, right? So we see the collapse of our bones there. So we have certain effects that cause this. We have symptoms, you can imagine. And some people would say, well, this is just straight up 24/1 content. And I disagree. I think there's a lot of 24/2 concepts now that are going to be involved, right? The circulatory system, cardiovascular system, immune system. These are all going to be now recruited into this condition as well. So again, can you integrate 2401, all the histology? How does histology have an impact here? The nervous system, skeletal, muscular, special senses, endocrine system, how do all those kind of play a part, play a role in this condition? And can you start to think, well, how are we going to bring in now 2402 concepts to this condition as well? So again, not for a grade, but just to get your mindset sort of thinking in the integration, integrating 2401 with 2402 concepts. So with that, again, that's something to think about over the weekend. Dig out your books from last semester, your notes from last semester, just get it fresh in your mind and be prepared, right? So we'll hit it hard on Monday. So with that, I'll call it a day, and you have a very good weekend, and I'll be seeing you on Monday, right? So you'll have a great one.